Freedom, fun, friends, family, fireworks. July 4th weekend brings together lots of reasons to celebrate. In this edition of Behind the Headlines, we're marking Independence Day with a look at the pursuit of happiness. We start with Boom Clap. Fireworks shows are a staple of the holiday. Ever wonder what goes on behind the scenes to put on a dazzling display?
You'll get 1-2 shells, and then you'll have a break, and then you'll get 1-2 more. That way you can hit something else underneath it. Our 4-inch shells, you'll get 2 in the air at a time. Every 3 seconds, 2 more go up.
Then, an iconic American motorcycle is a driving passion for some in Cuba. We take a closer look in Viva La Harley. Plus, local athletes are looking for a sporting chance to represent the red, white, and blue at the Summer Olympics in Rio. I'm Amy Osher. Those stories plus the latest in pop culture is coming your way. I'm Amy Osher. Thanks for joining us. Lighting up the night sky, colorful fireworks shows are always a crowd pleaser. But those 15 minutes of sparkle are the end result of months of planning, both art and science. The goal is to put on a 4th of July extravaganza that's bigger and brighter than ever before.
It grew from 1999 from 5,000 people to our 17th year now that are anticipating crowds of like 25 to 30,000 people.
Miramar Outlets in Estero is bursting with pride. Its annual Independence Fireworks Show turned into a day-long affair.
We like to think that we have the best and the largest in Southwest Florida.
Each year they try to outdo themselves. So this is the first year you're going to have them shot off from the water?
Absolutely. This will be the first year we've done it on the water. It'll be about 100 feet the other side of that marker that's out there. So there will be a barge in place, and it's going to look really spectacular off the water this year.
Those fireworks displays we enjoy so much are produced down to the last detail.
Instead of seeing the generic chrysanthemum or peony in the air, you're seeing more fancier shells like, that spread out and hang.
Brighter and more vivid colors dominate. Each shell canister packed with chemicals that determine size, color, and design. One of the hottest effects going is the water cake that will light up the whole lake.
They will shoot out into the water, stabilize, and then ignite, and it'll make a perimeter around the whole barge, nothing but red, white, and blue.
Timing is everything. In fact, using computers, the entire show is timed. Everything can be fired with a handheld remote.
You'll get 1-2 shells, and then you'll have a break, and then you'll get 1-2 more. That way you can hit something else underneath it. Our 4-inch shells, you'll get 2 in the air at a time. Every 3 seconds, 2 more go up.
Boom, clap. In a flash, it seems the show is over. In reality, most run about 15 minutes. The biggest crowd pleasers, no surprise.
The big boom and the hanging shells, the shells that hang like a crown that just drops, willows that hang, horsetails, The big effects is what gets the people. A symbol of independence and the spirit of adventure, the Harley-Davidson is an iconic American brand. Founded in Wisconsin in 1903, they're now sold and rode the world over, including Cuba. Our Daily News team, Maria Perez and Dorothy Edwards, caught up with a group of Harleystas on their recent trip to the island nation. Time stands still in Cuba. Decades of isolation forces motorcycle lovers to painstakingly care for and repair their beloved Harleys. Today's Cuban bikers meet up at the Malecon, clad in leather, their bikes tricked out. Few signs of the wear and tear you might expect from motorcycles riding the road for more than a half-century. These Harleys were made in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, before communism and the U.S. trade embargo. They've continued for decades to be passed down and rebuilt as needed, with scavenged and smuggled parts. Harleystas in Cuba sharing the same passion as their counterparts around the world, proving the culture of Harley reaches beyond borders. You can find out much, much more by checking out Maria Perez's story at naplesnews.com. When it comes to sports, it doesn't get any more American than baseball. Just when you thought spring ball struck out in Collier County, the county is back in play.
Baseball is already a rite of spring in Southwest Florida, Collier County being the only coastal community in our area sitting on the sidelines. On Tuesday, county leaders agreed to take the first steps in talks with the Atlanta Braves. The team stepped away from the plate in May when it was clear the county could not meet the deadline for a new stadium, and residents scoffed at the proposed location. Last week, the Braves extended the deadline, putting Collier back in the game. City Gate off Collier Boulevard near I-75 is now the preferred location. It's estimated a sports complex would cost upwards of $135 million, offset partially by state funds and grants. With this week's vote, the County Commission agreed to a feasibility study. Any real action will take place in the fall when 3 new board members assume their seats. 3 other pro teams play spring ball in Southwest Florida, with the Texas Rangers in Charlotte County and the Minnesota Twins and Boston Red Sox in Lee. So what do you think? Spring training in Collier, strikeout or home run? Here's our Street Beat.
Home run, and they should build a stadium here for training so more people could come to Collier County and more baseball teams could play sports here instead of just having the normal sports. More teams, more history of baseball coming to life here at Collier County.
I'd like to see the Braves come to Collier County. I'm a big baseball fan. Cleveland Indians, of course, but I'll watch the Braves. Love to see them here. I think it would do a lot for the county.
Home run. And I don't see the issue. I mean, there's already traffic. We have seasons. Snowbirds come down and they cause a lot of traffic, but people still let them come. So I personally don't see a reasoning. I think, if anything, it would help make more of a profit. People will go to more games and the training camps. Being a New Yorker, we love to see the Giants and the Yankees do their preseasons all the time. So that's more of a family thing people can do instead of going to the beach, and just think about the profit. It's going to help everybody that comes down. I think it'd be great for families.
I think it's a home run all the way.
Why is that?
Go Yankees. Nah, why not? It's beneficial to the county and everything. More money.
Still to come, going for gold. Local athletes hoping to realize their Olympic dreams. Are they in or out? Stay with us. The red, white, and blue will be flying high in Rio next month as the Summer Olympics kick off. Several local athletes are pursuing their passion to compete and are hoping for a sporting chance to make it to the games. Sports reporter Dana Caldwell breaks it down.
Well, the big names in the area are, of course, Elise Hahn out of Gulf Coast, and freshman this year for FGCU. She was in the 100 and 200 back in the U.S. Olympic trials. She didn't qualify, she wasn't expected to, but you know, she's an 18-year-old kid. She went to this as well in 2012. Her goal is to return to FGCU and take another shot, more realistic shot at this thing in 2020. For the first time, FGCU has an athlete that is representing America in the Olympics, and that is Brooke Youngquist Sweat. Played at FGCU from 2004 to 2007, volleyball player, kills leader. All-time kills leader there. Anyway, she is teamed with Lauren Fendrick. They're one of 48 pairs that are going to be in that draw, and they are the second-ranked American pair. Brooke is rated 8th on the tour as an individual. Again, they finished second in the point standing, so you know they are very, very strongly the second-best American team there. She and Lauren have been together since January of 2014, and man, they've done some really big things. Brooke has been the AVP Defensive Player of the Year in 2013 and 2014, and Fendrick was the Blocker of the Year in 2014. Fendrick 6'1", got the reach. Brooks 5'8", got the leaps, got the ability to get out there and control things, get things done. So they make a really nice tandem.
For a look at what we're covering and continue to work on at the Naples Daily News, here's our Editor's Corner.
So 2015 for us was really a banner year journalistically and as a business. Our newsroom continued to really excel on what's important for us, and that's local news, whether it's franchise topics like breaking ground, making the grade, and what we do in the 239. It really focused on local journalism of impact, and that matters for our audience. again, start about thinking very innovatively, our work in Cuba. We were able to take 2 trips to Cuba, and we were able to do that because it's such a big part of the dynamic of what's happening in the state of Florida. And we have a top reporter, Maria Perez, who was able to go to the island. One trip was with Dave Albers, our videographer and photographer, and with Dorothy Edwards, who also did photos and videos. Best part about that is we worked that in conjunction with the McGraw Center for Business Journalism at the CUNY School of Journalism. Terrific partnership where, in essence, our trip was covered in order to do top flight journalism that brought stories to our market that normally we would not have had. So that was a big win. Another thing that we really did, we invested in investigative reporting and teaching our reporters how to use data to bring stories that normally you wouldn't find in all these numbers that come across spreadsheets. The results were really great journalism that, again, Ryan Mills did 2 really strong projects looking at distracted drivers. And he did that piece, whether it's distracted law enforcement officers or firefighters, paramedics, and he also did it on school bus. In the school bus series, he did it with Malora Leonore. And those stories really impacted our market because you showed how local data can be taken and brought to life and for a change. Jacob Carpenter continued his terrific work using data to bring to light projects on the court system and the inefficiencies and how some cases took years to go to trial, basically in many ways violating individuals' habeas corpus rights. So, and we celebrated across departments. On the photo side, Scott McIntyre had a great year where he won Press Photographer of the Year for small papers. Most recently, the state, there's a big organization of 11 states that's called the Green Eyeshade Award, and that it's a very competitive contest. And the Naples Daily News for small newspapers won all 3 categories in the investigative category. So think about that. The Naples Daily News swept first, second, and third in the investigative category. I've been doing this most of my life, and I never swept any categories of our team. So I'm very proud of our team, and we also won for breaking news. So overall, it's been a tremendously successful year. We continue to hire top talent who looks to work in our newsroom, and that's always going to be a big win. So for 2016, our goal now is how do we beat that, but that's our plan.
Is cable TV programming the way we live? We'll take a look at the influence of what we watch on how we live our daily life. That's ahead in Behind the Headlines.
Doing it, and like the parents said, they're going to be talking about this forever. You know, like every time we drive past this restaurant, they're going to remember what they did there and what they made. And yeah, I think it was more like getting them hands-on.
When you speak of pursuing passions, it's impossible to leave out the love of food and the comfort of home. And we're obsessed with learning how to craft both. That's up for discussion in our continuing look at pop culture. Welcome to our pop studio. As always, Pam Fisher is with us along with members of her feature team. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, thank you.
You know, and we're talking this week about 2 subjects that are near and dear to my heart. We've got cooking and decorating, and seeing that there are cable TV networks devoted to that, I must not be alone.
Right. So I think the nesting or cocooning trend has been sort of where people have invested themselves the last few years. And Christine is covering a story this week about cooking with kids. So kids go to a gourmet restaurant, Sea Salt, that we reviewed for Date Night Dining last week. But these are little folks who are expressing themselves through gourmet cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It was a madhouse that day. They had about 36 kids at the back of a restaurant that was open for lunch. And so I was a little stressed, but these kids are having a blast. They made their own pasta and they made their own pizzas, and they were covered in flour by the end.
Now, do they have knives in cooking? Because my daughter, I'm trying to teach her how to cook, but I'm still afraid to give her a knife.
No, I think a lot of these kids, had the basic understanding, and it wasn't unsafe by any means. Like the pizza was just kneading with their hands, but it was the idea that you get kids introduced to a kitchen early on, and then they're happy to cook the rest of their lives. They know what's going on, they know what's healthy. And
Was there a lot of instruction? Were they actually trying to teach them something so these kids could maybe go home later and do it again?
So they sort of debrief them. This is what we're going to be doing. This is why it's healthy and why it's fresh. But it was really about them actually physically doing it. And like the parents said, they're going to be talking about this forever. You know, like every time we drive past this restaurant, they're going to remember what they did there and what they made. And yeah, I think it was more like getting them hands-on and maybe.
And we're seeing a lot of this, aren't we? Like more restaurants are opening themselves up to kind of getting the kids involved in the culinary arts as well.
Yeah, and I think the whole experiential creativity that comes out of maker culture, right? That we're all expressing ourselves in our kitchens and in our home decor. And Shelby did a really neat story this week. She visited a $5 million Seaglass Cottage, right?
That's what
yeah,
they call it.
classic coastal style, right?
Yes, and it lives up to its name for sure. I mean, when you walk in, it looks like what you would think of when you think of a Seaglass Cottage. It's open floor plan. It's got this really cool color palette, lots of grays and whites with some pops of color. The outside is very resort inspired, but it's also so comfortable. I mean, when you go to the bedrooms, it's comfortable. It feels like home. I want to live there.
Were there a lot of sea glass accents or something, or why do they call it sea glass?
Lots of coastal inspired decorations, very coral features.
The shades are kind of that soft sea glass, sun-washed palette, right?
Yeah, and the flooring looks like sand, the same color as sand. It's got just blues like the water and the sky. It's just, it's stunning. It's
we just did a story on Behind the Headlines last week about the Mediterranean styles kind of being out of favor right now, in favor of coastal living and clean lines and things. Did you see things there that people like us could maybe incorporate at home and put some elements in our houses or apartments?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You'll find the wide plank clapboard on the siding, on the flooring. It's very coastal inspired, not Mediterranean like you would see on these like stucco, darker colored houses that we're now getting out of. And so very white, cool colors, as I said, and then that flooring is just, it's stunning.
And it kind of incorporates elements of classic Florida coastal style, which is a really humble cottage style, right? Like tin roofs and the beadboard or board and batten siding, screen porches.
Oh yeah, and it's styles that you can find all across all coasts, you know, West Coast, East Coast, everywhere in between. So it feels like home, even though it might be a place you're living in 9 months out of the year. It feels like home.
So now you got a lot of tips from that. Christine, could you think you could replicate the stuff you learned at the kitchen?
Yeah. I mean, these pizzas like are less than round. They're just, you know, like it's just dough and sauce. Yeah, I could do it.
They're artisan style. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of things around town you could go and pick up tips and how to take them home.
Yep, and how to incorporate them into your own lives and make it more creative. So we have creative expression on the home front, and I think that's sort of a part of the pursuit of happiness, right? As Americans, we love to be individual, and artistic expression in the home, whether we're cooking or decorating, is sort of, I think, a part of that.
Well, great, and I know we'll expect to see more of that in the paper, and you can see these stories, find them online at naplesnews.com. One more ode to pop culture and Americana. Here's a hint. Think jumpsuit, cape, and sequins, and no, it's not a superhero. Throw in sideburns, and I'm sure you would have guessed Elvis. Despite the King's death decades ago, his likeness lives on. This video comes from our partners at the News Press. It was taken at the 8th Annual Tribute Artist Competition at the Seminole Casino Hotel in Immokalee. About a dozen impersonators from around the U.S. made it this far, taking the stage to belt out their best, including Johnny Lovett, who caught the Elvis bug as a kid. His father was one of the most famous Elvis tribute artists ever, and Johnny followed in his footsteps.
Well, my dad was and is considered to be the first Elvis tribute artist recognized by Elvis Presley Enterprises. He did it for over 50 years. I guess one of the best things my dad ever told me was that learn to phrase the songs the way Elvis phrased them. Don't try to sound like him so much. Sing it like you, but phrase the songs the way that Elvis phrased the songs.
Johnny didn't win this time, but you can bet he and his fellow Elvises aren't hanging up their polyester jumpsuits. Art is a passion for many of us. Whether or not we have talent, it really doesn't matter. We recently found out about a fun take on the wine-sipping painting parties that are quite popular. Lee Herndon is a master of silk, dipping into several dyeing and painting techniques to create wearable art. She recently lowered her sights to shoes. A pair of boots she painted caught the attention of a stranger and launched a bright idea.
This lady said, "Where did you get your shoes?" So that gave me the idea that this was really a fun thing, and I was already teaching dyeing in my studio, dyeing silk. So I decided to start having shoe painting classes.
We dispatched Harriet Heighthouse to grab her shoes and go.
I may have the messiest shoes here. I bought these on a big trip in a fishing port in Greece, and I've never known what to do with them, and then got coffee on them. So now's the time to make them into something beautiful.
Over the course of an evening, wine is poured and creativity flows.
What I really love is getting students or people who think that they don't know anything about art, and then having them discover that they can do something really nice.
No pressure, just a splash of fun, a learning experience for everyone who dove in.
Well, I learned that you paint faster after you have half a glass of wine. And I learned that you can make lots of different effects with paper towels as well as the paint sticks. And I learned a lot of things about the people around me, and that was the most fun of all.
Lee's own work has been shown in galleries nationwide, including the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. She believes everyone has a bit of artistry inside.
I really believe that people who think that they can't create have simply not tried before.
That'll do it for this edition of Behind the Headlines. Hope you find time to pursue some of your own passions as we pause to celebrate our nation's birthday. You can rewatch or share this show by going to naplesnews.com. I'm Amy Osher. See you back here next week.